Real Games Doc says that they're not hearing anything.
Oh, wait, they're not hearing anything?
Yeah, I just saw that pop up in the chat. I don't know.
OBS, tell us.
OBS has now informed me that there's a little button that I needed to click on to turn
Oh, he
both
doesn't-
volumes on. So now we have volume again.
Now we're good.
give that person a plot point. I don't even have the pop-up window chat in front of me today. I'm going to be lost in about 5 minutes trying to find that. So thank you to whomever that is, since I can't see the chat.
Thank you, realgames.ca.ca.ca.
Real Games, you just earned our first prize of the night, which means that at any point tonight, you may type into chat and give one player inspiration. And then they can put that on their character sheet. And because you were so awesome to break in, that means that you also can choose to use it after they've rolled. You can type in really quick, wait, re-roll that, I'm giving you inspiration, or a re-roll. So
They're just going to make me watch the chat like a hawk whenever I roll like a 2. Like...
So, there you go. What we were saying was I like to do a check-in with everybody first. So we're going to start off with Seth, then we're going to go to Kitty, and we're going to go to Arya. The blank screen is because Alex is having some trouble tonight with his internet, and he is trying to get in, but it's that in and out type thing. So if our screens all get scrambled, it's because he's jumping in. So Seth, kick it off. Tell us how your week's been and what you're looking forward to tonight.
You want an honest answer?
I do. Everybody loves honesty.
It's fine. Everything in my real world is great. I'm here to play Eberron. Really excited to play NorthWatch to get some Warforged action going on.
Amen to that. Everybody needs a little Warforged action in their lives.
I agree.
Kitty, take it away. How's your week been, and what are you looking forward to tonight?
My week's been well, and I am looking forward to acquiring other people's stuff as Lythandr. You know, as you do, as you find things that happen to be lying around, waiting for good owners.
They obviously didn't want it that much if they just left it.
You know, Locks, keep an honest person honest, or present a challenge to Lythandr.
It's all good. All good. And so, Arya, tell us about your week and tell us what you're looking forward to tonight.
My week's been good. It's been pretty busy, but I'm looking forward to unplugging for a little bit and not thinking about my to-do list for tomorrow.
My God, I wish I could do that. Can we switch places? Because, you know, I'm telling you, I never get that opportunity. So now, what do you guys remember about last week? Who read the game logs? As we start in, because it's up to you to bring our viewers up to date. What happened since you came to Sharn, you group of mighty warriors?
I did not read your game log, but I took notes while we were playing last week.
I also took notes.
I also did not.
But Lythandr will be glad to steal your notes and say, I do have notes.
I think we might be Team Dad and Team Mom, Arya.
We might be the mom and dad of the group here. I mean, the group very naturally split into 2 groups of 2 that were meeting up, so...
That's true.
Oh.
The note takers and then the movers and shakers. I don't know what to call the other side.
Looters and shakers sounds appropriate.
Yeah.
All right, so we started off last week with NorthWatch and Iounia responding to the invitation of 2 friends of ours that we'd met in the past, Barry and Lythandr, to join them at a party in not just in Sharn, but up in like the floating skyway area of Sharn. And so we get up there in time to see these 2 getting rather forcefully removed from the party for unknown reasons. Something about falling into a woman's bosom and necklaces were involved, I think.
Oh my.
We were thrown out, where when we were walking to try and get back down to the lower area, we came across a rather suspicious event on one of the sky bridges where this shifter, this wolf-like shifter, was fleeing the scene of a murder that he'd just committed. The guards showed up, including Sergeant Iounia and Cable, who were going to arrest us, except Cable jumped to our rescue to say, you know, I did actually see that it wasn't them. I can confirm their story. However, being disliked by the group of guards and everything that was there. He's now responsible for catching the actual killer within 24 hours. We have 24 hours. We've killed like 6 or 7, I think, so far. But like a nice leisurely tour down from the Skyway where we learned about the surrounding areas and had no concept of the fact that we were really being pressed for time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then from there, we went to the Rat's Paw Tavern and did some very interesting version of investigation that involved playing the loot, stealing some stuff, getting involved in a really long talk, and then eventually just kind of leaving and tracking the scent again. And that's where we met up with somebody who told us the name of our assailant, which is Kitty.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, Kitty, what's the name?
Hunt somebody down named Kitty.
No. What's the name? What's the name of the assailant? It's a quiz.
Their name is a secret.
It must not be named.
Don't pop quiz me. I'm here for the loot, not the names.
Well, the name of our quarry we have found is Yak the Grin, and we also found their place and some evidence that they might be trying to leave Sharn pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. What did that evidence look like?
A ticket to a lightning rail.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
a portion.
Bob. It is. It's the lower corner that actually talks about it being lightning rail, so you could actually tell by the reflective symbols on it and whatnot that this ticket is real, although it's not the whole ticket. So you're not sure. Stands to reason, since he has the majority of the ticket, that he would still be able to leave. This part of the ticket had gotten caught in the corner of a frame with a picture in it, a picture of a woman with a black band around it. The individuals in their hunt for this assailant, Yak the Grin, the toothy one, the one that the Warforged has thought is possibly a shifter of sorts. They believe that as they bumped into another group, knocking on the wrong door, if I really want to be honest, knocking on the wrong door and interrogating the people who live there, they found out that the people who live there have an issue with Yak. And Yak was dating somebody's daughter. And they didn't quite get the full story because they didn't want to stick around. They wanted to get after Yak. And it seems that the daughter might be dead, and here they found a picture hidden away. And a corner of the ticket, as if the ticket had been hastily ripped out, was left in the frame, which has led them to the idea that possibly Yak is going to the lightning rail. But Sharn is huge. And where the lightning rail comes in is much like we might think of as massive train stations coming in and out, multiple docking areas. So now they need to know not just the lightning rail, but they need to know exactly where and when. Otherwise, one person going in and out of Sharn, when thousands go through there every single day, would be impossible to find. They need to find a way to narrow this down. Mm-hmm. And where we left them at the end was having just found this ticket in this rickety shack that they believe belonged to Yak the Grin. Mm-hmm. And that's where we're going to take it away with NorthWatch, with Lythandr, and with Iounia. Is it Iounia or Iounia? Because I know you have a U in there. And I thought it was Iounia.
It's Iounia.
Okay. So I am saying it right. That way our viewers, when they quiz each other later on, can say, no, I heard the proper pronunciation. There you go. So take it away.
Okay. So we had just found this thing. So NorthWatch will look over at Lythandr and ask, "Do you know where this lightning rail is?"
The giant lightning rail? You mean like the train station?
I've only heard of the lightning rail. I've never seen it.
Yes, I am well acquainted with the lightning trail. The lightning rail, to clarify. Good. Not trail. I could take us there, but how are we going to figure out where he went? Because this train goes all across the city.
Is there some sort of like identification number on the ticket where maybe if we took it to a teller, they could, like look up the like a check number or something?
There is not a list of what train number is on it. This literally just identifies that it is the lightning rail. the massive part of the ticket has already been taken by the other individual. And in fact, probably had that not had the correct information on it, had it had the actual train number, they might have come back to get this portion of the ticket.
It doesn't even say the destination?
It does not.
Okay.
It's just a corner showing that it's the lightning rail.
But like being a bottom corner, I'm thinking like when you have a check and it has all those numbers across the bottom, which identifies the specific check and bank account and everything, not the train number that the ticket goes to, but something that you would give to a teller and they could say, hey, this is ticket number, whatever, what was that ticket for?
Yeah, being, you don't see anything like that stands out at you, and if there is some magical way of doing that, from this portion of the ticket, it would be something specific to Sharn that your character is unfamiliar with, because there's nothing immediately visible that stands out and shows numbers or runes or anything else on this corner.
The bed, was it completely just ruined when we got here? Like, there was nothing left in this place, if I remember right?
As we had talked about, there was a straw tick mattress and whatnot, and it was actually when I believe it was Lythandr or one of you had started searching underneath the bed. You'd flipped it over and whatnot, started going through things, that you found this frame with the corner of the ticket in it. However, you already know that the Goliath who you spoke to in last week's session had come here and had to gather up all the belongings as that family was searching for Yuck.
Right. Okay. So perhaps a little awkwardly, while he lets Iounia and Lythandr talk a little bit more, NorthWatch is going to head over to the bed and just kind of like take parts of the bedding and just kind of hold it and just kind of like press it against himself and just try to like surround himself in the scent of this yak individual.
Okay. You go back, I kind of lost that. I was looking at the chat there for a second because
I understand.
My chat pop-up window is showing nobody in it, and I'm like, not sure anybody's actually, if I got the right chat pop-up or not.
No, you got it.
Oh, did I? Okay, cool. Yep. So tell me what you were doing again, because I got distracted by the chat.
Being awkward and rubbing bedding on himself to try and capture the scent.
That is so perfect for a Warforged, especially the hunter that you are from the north. You start rubbing this all over yourself, trying to figure out so that you can get the scent. And the one scent that comes off of it very strongly is the same scent that you track to this shack, which you believe from the fur that you found is the actual scent of Yak.
Okay.
So you're familiar with it, but you've also never had to track scents amidst tens of thousands of other people in a city. When you were in the north, you were working in the wild, where the scent of a human, the scent of a dwarf stood out from the forest areas around you. Now it's just this confusing myriad era. Now you were able to pick it up when you were at the Rat's Paw Tavern, which was good, but you know you're going to have to find, like, you'll quickly lose it just walking through the streets and whatnot. It'll be too many. Yeah. Okay. Unless you get a nat 20. I mean, hey, nat 20s are gold.
So yeah, I guess that's where we're at. Any other ideas?
I mean, the most I could think of is to go down to the station, because presuming that he was here, because he had the small amount of the ticket here, that means he'd probably gone to the nearest station, and maybe if we're lucky, one of the ticket guards will say, hey, yeah, I did notice a weird ticket that was missing a part of it. Maybe they could tell us what station he was getting on and to where.
Well, if this is the lightning rail that I know, because I know it's different, you know, and not everyone's ever on is the same. I think there's only one station in Sharn, and it's the one that leads everywhere else, if I remember correctly.
It is one station, but just like any station that you would go to with a train in real life.
Lots of different rails.
Correct. It's not just one rail. It's not just one set of cars coming in and out of the station. It's not, like you said, Sharn is the largest city, and it goes everywhere else. So therefore, this is not a small town, little podunk, one train track coming in and out with a 20-foot long area. This is the central hub where these train systems come in and out all day long, night and day, to go off to different areas.
This ain't no one train town.
There you go.
Got
I
it.
think that's a decent idea, though. Whatever is the closest, then we can go ask about a ripped ticket that was missing the lower right corner, or whatever corner we have.
Yeah.
And together, you guys have already established with the tavern owner at the Rat's Paw, individuals at House Orion. You have Kayville with you, don't forget, who's part of the Watch. You have met individuals halflings who are at the Rat's Paw that you've talked to. You've met Goliath and the individual that he works for, his employer.
Blue Ost, I think, was his name.
Exactly. Take a plot point for that. You met Blue Ost.
Notes.
That's it. Use them up, brother. So you've met all these individuals that you can talk to about what were the habits. These are things that, anybody who's been in the city for a while, and Barry even has met people, and so has Lythandr. Lythandr's already started. Don't forget, Lythandr's been here for a few months and started doing his Lythandr things. So he may have a good rep. Lythandr may have a bad rep. I don't know. It kind of remains to be shown.
Either case is bad, though, because I think ideally he'd like to have no rep.
Yeah, ideally he'd like nobody to know who he is.
It's like karma. You don't want good or bad. You want neutral karma.
Ideally, you shouldn't get caught trying to lift gems when your face is in somebody's bosom.
Well, mistakes were made. I had one too many drinks.
Barry's not here. I think you should blame Barry.
Everything that happens poorly tonight is Barry's fault.
Absolutely.
That's it. Oh, and for our players, the chat inside of the R20, anything that you type there, if you start using that, I'll bring that up onto the screen. So in fact, I'll transition just to show you that. Why don't you guys chat in a little bit there and bring it over? There you go. How's that? So see, we are improving.
But then they'll know our secrets.
Oh no!
There you go.
Oh, hey, yeah, there it is.
Well, that way, if you guys want to also give little things that your characters are doing, because quite often what our viewers were missing was the things that we do in Discord, where we're actually, even when they're not talking, we're still gaming. So this allows you guys to continue gaming and engage the viewers a little bit more. And I'll bounce back and forth. If nothing's happened, we'll come over to the other screen and whatnot. So.
Gotcha.
Very good. So thoughts, process. How do we track down Yek the Grin? Kayville offers this. He goes, well, we could always ask with the local constabularies and talk to the Watch about which ones of them know this Yek the Grin. If he's truly...
Time out. What's a constabulary?
The Watch.
Okay.
He says. So he goes, I could check with the individuals here and find out if he has a reputation.
It might be best to use all the resources we have available to us.
I mean, regardless of reputation, though, if we know he's leaving, I think time's a little bit more pressing to get to the Lightning Realm and stop him.
Also a fair point.
Yeah.
True. So to the Lightning Rail it is then. Yeah.
The Lightning Rail.
It sounds like it.
You head down not knowing what the individual looks like, but knowing that you have this corner of a ticket that says Lightning Rail on it. So you head down. Kayville going with you. And for those that are viewing for the first time, Kayville is both their help, but also their... What babysitter might be a good word? Because Kayville's there to make sure they don't try to skip town, since all of their heads are on the line for this murder.
I thought his head was also on the line.
No, Kayville's just not liked. If you guys skip town, then Kayville pays for it. So obviously he's not going to be willing to let you do anything illegal or escape off, because he's not dying for you. He already got kind of in trouble for speaking up for you. It doesn't take long. Well, actually, it depends on how much money you got. You guys, you're already in Lower Dura. It probably takes maybe about a half hour maybe 45 minutes at this time of night because it's not a whole lot of people on the streets,
Mm-hmm.
to get across town from the western side where you were in Lower Dura over towards Tavik's Landing on the east side of Sharn, during which you walk through the most crude parts of the city, parts that truly never sleep, where people watch you walking, deciding whether or not you're going to be an easy mark. For the first time, it might actually feel comfortable to have Kavil with you. If for nothing else, the colors of the watch make people think twice, for attacking a watchman would mean instigating all the other watchmen to hunt you down.
For sure.
You go unmolested till you get over to Tavik's Landing. And long before you actually get to the lightning rail, you know you're getting close because you can hear it. There's a soft blue glow in the distance between buildings as you come around. You hear the static pop. Electricity, like lightning, that's constantly going. Picture a Tesla coil zapping off in steady rhythms. And that is what the lightning rail tracks are made of. These lodestones in the middle. And as the lightning rail comes in, hovering above them, sparks fly off of it. When you get there, you hear the sounds of people. You hear the sounds. And you actually, finally, when you come out above it on the cliffside, looking down towards where the trains are coming in and going out, you see one zip quickly in, faster than you ever could have imagined, faster than any horse, faster than rocks falling downhill, propelled by some magic, making you think of the ship.
Science.
And it comes in. Poor Lythandr, in his confusion, says aloud, science, leaving others mystified at what this magical new term is. The school of science is practiced by very few. Lythandr is probably one of the only ones. As the lightning rails rip in, some people move across you, looking at you strangely, wondering why you're just standing here. One says, you know, if you're going down, stairs are right there. He goes, unless you're lost. He goes,
Which way to like a ticket booth? So wherever you get tickets punched to board.
He goes, oh, he goes, straight down, bottom of the stairs. He goes, can't miss him. Can't get close to the lightning rail without tickets.
Okay, thank you. Start
He goes
walking
on-
down the stairs, but watching the lightning rail. She doesn't really like the noise of the lightning rail.
An interesting thing happens as you go lower and lower down Tavik's Landing, heading towards the base land surface. You also find that the hairs on the back of your arm start standing up. Whether this is an effect of just one lightning rail or the sheer majesty of all of the magic here and the electricity, you can't tell yet.
My hair doesn't stand up.
Maybe all the hair that you have does stand up.
Maybe your agora is glowing a little bit more.
Oh yeah, the Golra could be glowing a little bit.
The fur in NorthWatch's hands start to go zzz.
We might be close.
That's it. It senses its owner.
My already like kind of frizzy mess on the one side of my head is kind of just a little more frizzy and unruly.
Sure. No, NorthWatch is a little bit taken by the appearance of the lightning rail because he knows it was made by the same house that made him. So it's almost like his offspring in a way. Not offspring, sibling. Other way. The one that's not. It's a pretty big difference.
Now, House Cannith, who are the house of the makers, they design these things, but just as the Warforged were sold, NorthWatch, which used to be property of one of the nations, was sold. So too the lightning rails are not the property of House Cannith at all. They are the design and invention. It's House Orion that runs them, for they are the ones that travel. They connect the world.
Mm-hmm.
But House Cannith is at the heart. They're the ideas, they're the forge, they're the energy behind it. And the secrets remain theirs.
And that's what NorthWatch is appreciating about it for sure.
Now, whether or not NorthWatch chooses to go and commune with one, that'll be an interesting scenario.
Excuse me,
as-
I am alive.
As you go down there, you see actually a much larger Warforged than NorthWatch. This one's a juggernaut with spikes all over it and whatnot, and you can see the battle scars all over it. And as you walk by, it takes up almost half the stairs as you see it sweeping the stairs in this tiny little thing. The broom itself that it is using, no larger than its hand, if its hand were open. And it just methodically goes along the stairs, sweeping them up bit by bit as you go by, almost brushing into the 6-inch long spikes that stick off of its shoulders and arms.
Yeah, that's about right.
We need to get through.
It doesn't block you, it's just sweeping.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that it's so big.
Nope. Grand staircase. You come down these massive marble steps that don't even match the stone of the cliffs. All of this was imported. You walk by columns that go high above your head, and you see how they've been carved. Some to look like chains, other to look like gears, some to look like pistons, and one even seems to have a movement to it, looking like shiny metal that goes up and down, and you realize it's an illusion because the ceiling isn't moving. But you come to a massive counter where there's only 2 individuals there, but you can see at its busiest time it must hold 15 to 20 individuals. And written in common as well as other languages, it talks about tickets for transportation.
Well, this looks like our place.
Then.
You have the ticket, or partial ticket, right, Iounia?
Did I have the ticket piece?
Somebody has it.
I mean, if nobody has it like that or snagged it, he was just asking to be facetious.
Who was the one that searched under the bed?
It was Barry, I think.
Uh-oh.
Barry goes,
the ticket's in limbo.
This ticket? Put it right here. He goes, yeah, I still have it. He goes, oh, wait. He goes, I thought I had it.
Lythandr, you dropped it, and I picked it up. Don't worry. Just making sure, like, nobody lost it. All right. Walking over to the ticket booth.
NorthWatch lingers on the other Warforged for a moment, observing their answer to the question.
Excuse me, I was curious if an individual stopped by earlier, perhaps missing part of their ticket right here.
The human that looks up at you is a woman with curly red hair, freckles all over her face. She looks like she could be pretty if her hair wasn't pulled back so sternly, as she's dressed in this outfit to look professional. She looks and she goes, looking at your clothes, looking at you, and says, we have thousands of people that come through here every day.
Right, and I'm not saying that you need to be people watching, but perhaps you would see a ticket that was missing a part of it, and that would come across as suspicious and different in your day.
And I kind of give a look to our friend Cable.
She says, we sell tickets here. She goes, I can direct you to the various trains. She says, but the tickets are actually punched and collected and voided by the individuals on the trains. I don't suggest you try boarding a train without a ticket. It's quite painful to be thrown from a train at hundreds of miles an hour.
I imagine so. Thank you very much for your concern over our lives.
Would you like to buy a ticket? Where would you like to go?
NorthWatch will also join Iounia in looking at Cable.
You are kind of law enforcement. Can you get some better response out of her in terms of, like, at the very least, can she point us to a specific individual who might know?
Cable isn't quite sure what you want to do, but he goes over and asks her straight out. He goes, look, they've got part of the ticket. He goes, how can they track down somebody missing part of their ticket? So she begrudgingly takes the corner of the ticket and she goes, yeah, it looks like it's, ours. This is part of our symbol on it down here. And she goes, and the reflection does show the LR of the lightning rail on it. She goes, but I have no idea what ticket this would be ripped off of.
Oh.
And he goes, well, wouldn't it be necessary for, if the ticket's incomplete? And she says, no. She goes, all it has to be is an official ticket. She goes, whether they're crumpled up or missing a corner, as long as they have the destination on them, where they're going, so that the passenger can be on that train, it would be considered valid.
NorthWatch will lean down next to Cavil and say, Private, I think we're trying to figure out if you have the authority to give us the freedom to investigate.
He goes, that's what I told you when I first came with you. You're here to investigate. I'm just here to make sure you don't leave.
Right, so but we would need to talk to the different people on the trains that punch these tickets and stuff.
Do you have the authority to let us on to all of these trains?
Just briefly before they leave. We're also not looking to get thrown off a train going 100 plus miles an hour.
Cable stops and starts thinking about what exactly his authority is. And the man that's like 5 feet down from the woman that you're talking to gives a gentle cough. And both the woman looks over and Cable, who's still trying to figure out like where my authority bounds, and she goes, oh, Master Rector, would you mind helping us? And he goes, without even looking up, he keeps staring down at what he's doing as if reading a paper, and he goes, if you aren't House Orion, you have no authority here. House Orion dictates all the policies and procedures. Sharn Watch ends at the Sharn description unless they're called in by House Orion. Never looks up. Totally dismisses Cable.
Okay, well, you can also get in contact with I don't think I wrote down her actual name. Seth, did you write down her name?
I didn't.
I wrote down like Alfer. I wrote down.
Yes,
Bars.
I wrote down the barkeep's name as well.
But I didn't write down her name.
Lobana Petrivna. Lobana Petrivna.
Well,
okay.
You can call Lovana Petrovna and talk to her because we're also conducting this investigation on behalf of her.
That's absolutely the wrong name. I gave you the wrong one.
Uh-oh.
Shala. That's why it didn't sound familiar. I'm like, no, it's Shala.
Shala?
Yep.
I suggest you get a hold of Shala because we're conducting an investigation on behalf of her as well. The investigation concerns House Orion.
The man looks up and he goes, I see no reason to put my authority on the line contacting a dragon-marked individual. What investigation? I know nothing about this, and I'm not about to contact somebody else. He doesn't seem to feel the gravitas as you do. He has no idea what you're talking about, what investigation, but the thought of waking up a superior from a house where dragon marks hold such authority to literally kind of snuff him out, he's like, yeah, I don't think so.
Well, being the frank individual that he is, NorthWatch will explain, well, a member of House Orion was murdered.
A courier for House Orion.
Right. And we believe the murderer is attempting to leave on a lightning rail.
It would be a shame if they got away on the lightning rail and House Orion were to find out that you were in charge here and allowed that to happen.
Especially given that the murderer stole what was being curried.
It's something suddenly occurs to NorthWatch and he seems really distracted and he goes, what if that ticket belonged to the courier? What if Yak stole the ticket?
Are you saying this to the person listening to Cable?
He's just saying it out loud. Anybody who hears.
I mean, he might have.
Anyone who hears, sorry.
The ticket now, probably trying to leave, but he might have.
We might be able to use that information to find out which train it is.
That is true. Of course, being able to simply call House Orion and find out would be easier than having to track all the way back, giving this criminal more time to get away.
It did take a substantial amount of time to come down from the Skyway.
It did, and at the end of the day, you have to ask which is worse. A slight lashing of tongues from the fact that you've called House Orion when nothing is wrong, or the percentage of chance that you get fired or worse from your job for not aiding an investigation that is pertinent to them.
We have it on the Keep's watch here, the private's watch here, that his word and honor that we are doing this investigation on behalf of House Orion as well, that it involves them. And he was there when we spoke with her.
Cable absolutely quickly confirms that. He says they are. I can attest to that and whatnot. The woman, make a persuasion roll, and you know what? I'm going to give you guys, whoever wants to make it, who's your main speaker?
I'm really good with charisma.
So typically it would be Barry, but I think Iounia is the backup here.
Persuasion?
Yes.
Iounia, you're going to make it, and you can tag in Lythandr's charisma bonus to your roll.
+3.
Other +3. Wow. I would like you all to know that I have a +5. So, like...
Oh my. That's painful. You know, I actually like being able to show your rolls now.
Those are some painful rolls.
That way other people can cringe with you too and go, ooh, ow.
10.
Nice.
I do have some plot points.
I have a singular plot point.
I have
the man compromises. He says, there's always a House Orion representative that is in here in the mornings to hand out daily duties and check on things. If you'd like to go wait in the bar, it's only 5 hours away. You can wait till then. If you
We don't have that kind of time. The individual's already running here trying to leave.
As well. It was, and as you're there, remember I talked about, you know, you saw one train leaving and one train coming in. He goes, there's only 2 more trains that leave before that individual gets in, the House Orion rep, and the day starts up and more of our trains will be flowing during the daytime. He goes, more will come in during the night, but none will be leaving. None will be loading for departure. He goes, so you can go check out those docks or you can wait. But I'm not calling any House Orion representative without further proof. Now, Cable gets a little bristle at this. He goes, I just told you that. And the man very quickly says, he goes, there is nothing in any command that I have that says I have to wake up a superior based on a watch call for an investigation. Now, if there's a murder here, he goes, absolutely.
No, but on the watch's word, you know that what we're saying is true. Wouldn't you like to earn some extra points with your superiors by helping to close this case that's clearly pertinent to them?
NorthWatch,
not at the cost of losing my job.
There was, in fact, a murder, though. Heck, I mean, if you want word on the murder higher than Cable, Sergeant Iounia knows that there was a murder, and that's what we're investigating.
The woman seems very interested. Murder? Who got killed?
We said really this already. The courier, one of the couriers for House Orion was murdered, and when he was
which
courier.
One? What did he look like? She goes, I've never met a courier for House Orion.
I don't think I wrote down the name of the courier either.
I think
Tars.
Tars, yep, I did write it down. Tars.
Which one was it? Tars? Tars, that's right.
Yep, that was Tars.
I had that one.
Yay. I think a plot point, if you had it already down, was Tars Grayson.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things that I will ask you guys is, when you guys are taking notes and whatnot, that's why we have the game log forum, put them in there and I'll type them up. Whatever you guys add, I'll weave it right into the synopsis.
Okay.
That way, at the top drop of a hat, you guys can just go there and hit search and be like, type search and get your stuff.
So during this whole exchange, despite his complete and total lack of facial expression, it's very clear that NorthWatch is perplexed about why anybody is questioning the authority of the person at the ticket booth. He's not used to the idea of, like, saying no when somebody gives a response. So he's observing currently. It's like, I didn't even think that you could do that. Okay.
Judging by the fact that they have Warforged working sweeping stairs, the fact that NorthWatch is just watching, you can tell these individuals are going to pretty much look at him more like property, despite the fact that Warforged are now free. Cable says, he goes, I don't see which way how we can convince, and he's saying it right in front of me. He goes, I don't see how to convince them to get a House Orion representative down here. He goes, shall we just go down and start walking the docks? The loading docks? Loading platforms, I should say. Docks are for boats.
I could always see if I can pick up the scent down there.
You could? Yeah.
I guess we don't really have...
And as I said, it's not as crowded down here right now, so if the individual is here, you might start, walking down here. That's a very interesting idea.
Sure. Okay.
Now, do you have a description of him? Because...
black and gray hair. We know that much. And sometimes grins a little too wide.
You have certain amounts of information that might help you as you talk to other individuals.
Shall we go to the dock then?
Seems like our best option.
Heading down towards the loading platform, you find some individuals standing, waiting. In fact, there's a very sleepy-looking woman who Barry quickly points out. He goes, "Oh, look, it's the same garb, university kids. Those must be some of the young trainees." And long behind her is a whole row of children that are sleeping, cuddled up in blankets, clearly waiting. She's standing there, a little bit matronly, kind of half falling asleep against the wall as she watches over them. Now, you'd know, obviously, that none of them are who you're looking for. As you start walking around, looking at some of the people who are lined up early to try and get some of the best seats on the, at least that's what you would assume, on the lightning rail. You move along the docks, slowly but surely. NorthWatch, make a perception roll.
Okay,
or do you want to use nature instead for your scenting?
Bad at nature. Nature is intelligence-based for some reason, so...
So then we'll just go with basic perception right now.
Natural 20. Got a 24.
Wow.
Nice.
As you watch NorthWatch walking along both the children, coming up to the woman, and giving her an extra sniff, he slowly moves on from her, getting far too close to many other individuals, just walking up to them, moving his head around them and whatnot. And people are like, "Get away from me! What are you doing?" And NorthWatch just continues to move. It takes a little while as you guys just follow behind him, walking, making people incredibly nervous. In fact, some of the children actually wake up as other people start barking at NorthWatch to get away, and the three of you, just follow along. 4 if you count Caveville and whatnot. But nobody puts up too much of a fuss, in part because Caveville's there, and the rudeness, the space bubble that NorthWatch violates is quickly excused because people don't want to get in trouble. And it's Caveville that actually picks up on your lead and starts politely asking people if he can see their tickets. So
the NorthWatch is apologizing when he does violate personal space. He just doesn't know when he's about to breach that. He'll hold up a hand and quietly apologize whenever somebody protests.
By the time,
it's harmless, we swear.
Yeah.
Yeah, this 6'6" walking suit of armor.
It just kind of comes up and has these noises as if it's sniffing, but it has no nose.
I was actually kind of thinking about this a little bit because he does have living parts, like the vines that make up the wooden areas underneath the armor, the metal and stone.
Correct.
I feel like maybe it just kind of, the scent is picked up somewhere in there, inside the wooden parts. It's just like he just kind of has this scent of smell, like just in general about his body in the natural parts. Is how I don't know. That's a way I figured it might work.
Wonderful. Sounds great. Sounds great. Shared storytelling works for me. So you continue to walk close to everybody, trying to get your parts that are covered, the vines that are in the joints and whatnot, to hopefully walk through a scent. With no real concentrations and whatnot. That's why NorthWatch ends up walking close to things, hoping to walk through it. NorthWatch has gone through the entire dock area with probably 20 or 30 people here at this platform, and hasn't detected a single thing here at the platform that would indicate Yek the Grin as he knows Yek to be.
He is not here.
Well, We have another dozen or so platforms we can check.
Oh.
Might as well keep checking them
I
until
mean, we're
the
stuck
rep
waiting
gets
either
here.
way, so might as well make good on it.
That's true.
We should prioritize ones that have trains that are peeling out before the representative gets here.
Well, this is one of the main ones, and you've noticed that only one other one has people, a majority of people at it. The other ones might have one or two, but there's another one that has some too, and presumably nowhere near the 30 that are here. Probably has about 10 to 15, sitting on some chairs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You make your way over towards that platform. Takes a little bit. And as you start going through this platform, I would ask that NorthWatch make another check.
All right.
Unless you guys have a way to offer help or assistance.
Let's
For
see.
anyone that smiles really big, kind of in a weird way. Or anyone that's like kind of keeping their head low.
Make a perception roll, Iounia.
Meanwhile, I would like to ask, can I utilize survival? Because that's what my favorite enemy thing gives me the benefit on. Would that be okay?
Because it's your favorite enemy, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because you believe he's a shifter, and yeah. I like that idea.
17. I didn't need the advantage this time.
Beautiful. So I like that. So you walk through here. This one goes much quicker with the 15 or so, and this time NorthWatch still having to violate certain bubbles to try and check sense and whatnot, is more polite about it. Now, one of the things that Iounia notices, there's a couple individuals here that specifically are covered up sleeping. How do you want to approach them? I purposely have not given NorthWatch an answer yet. How do you want to give assistance?
I'm gonna follow Cable's lead and just go up very politely and just gently shake them on the shoulder and ask if we can see their ticket.
Guy's looking like, first one's like very confused and hands it over to you. The second one actually becomes very rowdy and's like, well, who are you? What do you want?
Oh, I'm here with the watch. We're just following up on an investigation right now. I'm sure there's not going to be a problem. We just need to see your ticket and check something on it. You don't even have to let me hold it.
By using the watch and whatnot, after a little bit, the individual gives it over. Soon you've cleared the entire station, and NorthWatch is able to confirm that the scent isn't here, and you've seen the vast majority of the tickets of individuals here, all of the ones that had their faces covered or were sleeping. So these two docks are clear. It's taken the better part of an hour to clear these two, because again, there's space in between the docks. They're not right next to each other. You actually have to travel to them a lot for the different rails.
Alright. Just move
Cable says, do we just keep walking each dock, or do we wait till the morning? He goes, we only got another 4 hours.
Keep walking the docks, I guess, until the representative is here. We should be using the time productively.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take a look around. Are there multiple ways to get down to this area from the lightning rail station, or is this just kind of like one path that goes to all of the different docks?
There are multiple ways, because you came in along the main way, and then it splits off to get to the different platforms. So
Okay.
what you came into was basically a hub, and then from there you would walk out to different platforms where different trains come in. Much like an airport, where you have to go out. If you've ever been at a large airport, you have to take trams and whatnot to get to the different areas, and it's the same here.
So, I guess it would make more sense to try and find a scent at the hub then, right?
Yeah, because you would probably have to pass through the hub.
You'd have to pass through there. Okay. Maybe we can check in a more centralized position.
I'd be
Okay.
good with that.
Fine by me. Seems logical.
All right.
Moving back, you move towards where the central hub is. Now they're watching you, of course. The man's really not. He's interested more in his paper. But the red-haired girl who knows that you're hunting down a murderer is really pretty excited. She's like, "Ooh, wow, I've never had a chance to see. Maybe if they catch him, what's going to happen?" You actually have her full thrall. In fact, she leaves the counter asking for some permission just to come over and walk with you guys as you do all this.
Lythandr's more than happy to wink at her.
How is Lythandr dressed? Are you dressed well? Have you changed your garb from the,
I assume he's still dressed well from the party he was at.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, because you'd have had to prepare for that. In that case, she receives your wink well, and she's like, you actually think she's blushing a little bit as you look at her.
I bet your hair would look amazing if you put it down.
She tells you, I'm not allowed to. She goes, policies.
I understand. I'd just love to be able to see it sometime is all.
She giggles a little bit. In the meantime, as NorthWatch is walking around, and
in his slightly dirty, outdated Oundarian cloak.
Oh, very nice, yeah. The woman actually asks you, Lythandr, how long you've owned your Warforged.
Not too long. Just long enough. You know, I'm still really breaking him in.
He goes, it looks like he's been broken in by somebody else. She goes, I was wondering, she goes, does he get all that damage and those scars and the worn down look from hunting down killers like this?
I assume he had, I haven't had him for long, like I said. I assume he's had them for a while. I don't know if he hunted down criminals before now. He doesn't really have the social skills for things like this, but we're training him.
In the meantime, Seth, I'll have you make a roll for NorthWatch. You won't get advantage on this because while the area is not crowded right now, there have been too many scents through here.
Sure.
So advantage, disadvantage balance out. It's just a normal roll.
I'm gonna give 2 plot points to this one to even it out at 15 from a 13.
15. You are certain that a shifter has passed through here.
Sure.
But you are not certain if it's the same shifter. There is something, since it is your favorite enemy, it has a peculiarity that you now associate. It's triggering something in you, but you would like to believe it's him, but not really sure. And you can't really tell where it went just because there's too many people moving about. The woman, in the meantime, asks Lythandr, tell me more about who you're hunting. Maybe you asked about a ticket. I haven't seen anybody come through with tickets because they just buy from me, but maybe if you describe him, all you said really so far was, that he smiles. Funny.
Well, we only caught a glimpse of him as he went by. We came on the scene of the murder. But was he tall? I'm trying to remember. I know he looked kind of wolfy, but...
Well, you described her to him as having silver and black hair, to which she now tells you she hasn't seen any older individuals.
He didn't appear old. He appeared youthful, like that was just his natural color.
Oh. So a youthful individual with silver hair.
Quite right.
I haven't seen any silver-haired youthful individuals. She goes, and I saw you going over and checking out most of the docks and whatnot. She goes, maybe the barkeep might have seen somebody. We could go ask him.
I'd love to be able to do that. Iounia, NorthWatch, this beautiful lady has suggested that we go down to the barkeep and ask if they've seen anybody that matches our description.
Kind of a waste of time, from your idea was you haven't searched all the rest of the docks yet. So it's that careful decision. Which one do you go for?
Why don't you go check the barkeep since you're mostly just chatting anyway, and we'll keep searching the docks.
Where should we meet back up?
Well, worst case scenario, in 4 hours or 3 hours, whatever it is now, when the guy shows up. We were supposed to be at the bar anyway to go meet him there. So worst case scenario, in 3 hours, we meet there. Otherwise, maybe we'll run into each other here on the docks.
Cavill's not really down with this idea. You're going to have to persuade him somehow to allow you to split up. Because his natural suspicion is that this is a quick and easy way for some of you to escape. Because now you've come down to the lightning rail, which is the fastest way out of here. And now you just happen to be mysteriously saying, oh, let's split up. You guys go one direction, we'll go the other.
I mean, we have the lady who sells tickets here. She can probably agree not to sell him a ticket.
Ooh, I like that. Definitely, I'll let you make a persuasion roll. That'll bring it down using that as an argument. Absolutely.
I can have advantage instead of bringing it down.
You do not have advantage. But it was a fairly low DC. But
I'm rolling real bad right now.
Unfortunately, he's like, no, you're going to have to stick together. He goes, I realize time is on the line, but the the sergeant gave you 24 hours to find this individual. So, he goes, you have plenty of time. It's not even morning. He goes, we've only burned maybe 5 so far. He goes, you got another 19 hours. There's no reason to split.
Speaking up, NorthWatch will shake his head, looking at Iounia. I've never tracked in an environment like this before. I can't find him. There's a shifter somewhere, but the trail stops here. I don't know where they went.
I mean, shifters aren't very common, right?
They're not. Not
Odds.
this far south.
Higher odds that means he's here somewhere, right?
But I've lost the trail. I don't know which dock they went to.
Mm-hmm.
Cavill, a young private who's used to doing everything the same way, does just what he's always done. Well, if you guys want to keep searching docks, we'll keep searching the other docks for the next couple hours.
We also run the risk, so now that we've searched several docks, if it's starting to spread, people are talking about there's an investigation going on of him moving and trying to avoid us, which is a real problem.
It is, especially because after talking to the Blue Ost, the way he communicated about Yek, and also the way the barkeep communicated about Yek, you realize Yek is very accomplished. Remember, the courier was specifically looking for somebody and chatting with him and whatnot. Yek is very accomplished, so if he's got a heads up, chances are, just common sense, any of you having been through the war know that if your prey is alerted, you lose everything. Ambush is usually the best way to catch any prey.
We have a really great thing going for us in the sense that I can't imagine he will give up his ticket and wait to leave another time. He's going to stay here to get on his train, whichever train it is. We just have to, if he's here. We just have to figure out which train that is.
It's really a question of where you want to. You have no way to find out which train it is because they have no way of knowing. But what you can do is you can try to find out.
Can we, looking at Cable / the ticket lady, since they're kind of the authority-ish figures here, is there some sort of way to have formally put out like a warrant for his arrest, essentially, and when they're going around punching tickets and stuff like that, like have everybody who works here alerted just for if you punch a ticket that's missing the lower right corner and stuff like that, to pull someone aside for holding or something to pending an investigation? Is there a way to do that?
She says we would have to know who, and we would have to have House Orion representatives to alert the individuals who are on the trains to do that. She goes, and we don't have any idea who.
We know it's somebody who's missing a part of their ticket, though.
He doesn't have any of his other stuff. There's no way he's got another ticket.
But as she just described, the ticket can be crumpled, the ticket can be missing corners. That's not something they look for. They just look for the information on it. And she confirms that very quickly, what was said earlier, which is people have tickets damaged all the time. There are 1,000 little things. Pulling it out of their bag, they might rip off a corner. She begrudgingly admits, she goes, Occasionally when we're stamping them or putting them under the press, the very press that puts a seal onto it can oftentimes rip out part of the ticket. Because that's why we have to go with the special inks and whatnot when we sign them off magically.
It's just from my brief experience, it seems like these taverns are a good hub of experience and stories. It might be a good place to look.
Maybe he popped in to grab a drink or something like that before.
Or to
going
talk
sit at
to
stock.
somebody else he knows, since he seems to have connections.
Well, the woman does say that, again, there's really, unless you're going to sit on a chair like some of the people that you saw at the platforms do, she goes, it's really the only other place here where people gather. She goes, and as you saw, people either just go right to the train to wait to try to get in. She goes, especially if they're going the cheaper route, she goes, there's only so much room to fit into the back cargo areas. She goes, and that's where you see most of the people that are at the docks early. They buy cheap access tickets, which just says if they can squeeze them in, they will. It's a cheap way to ride. Not comfortable, of course, but it's fine for the riffraff and the lower class people. You can just hear the racism, the status, the classism coming off of her as she speaks. In part because she now figures she's talking to people who are a little better off, such as Lythandr and Barry, who are both dressed nice, and Lythandr, who obviously is wealthy enough to own a Warforged. So
I think Iounia was probably dressed pretty well too, actually.
Iounia changed out of she's dressed in as nice of clothes as she had, which is common clothes, so a lot of leathers and stuff like that, because she figured wearing armor to a party was not an appropriate course of action.
Probably accurate.
So she's in common leathers and stuff like that. Not like leather armor, but like leathery kind of materials, brown cloths and stuff.
Either way. So are we going to...
While you're still talking in the main area, you see Iounia. You see a familiar figure catch your eye. It's one of the individuals that you had pulled the hood up on. And he's kind of nodding to you, trying to get your direction. He's come from the platform.
I'll be right back, guys. Kind of saunter my way over.
You guys can see this as she approaches him. Barry's like, oh, do you want me to come too?
Don't see why not.
Barry's like, cool, Lythandr, you stay with them. You stay with your, he's trying to remember how to refer to the Warforged, not as a person. He's like, with your property, and, I'll be right back. He goes off. Barry's like, yeah, he's not property. But he's like trying to go along with this facade right now. As Iounia and Barry go off to this individual, the man looks at you from under the hood. He goes, hey. He goes, after you left, some of the other individuals were saying, you were doing more than check for tickets. You were, asking if somebody had been seen with gray and black hair.
Giving a nod.
What's it worth to you?
Well, this is an investigation on behalf of the city of Sharn, so...
Now, Kavill's over there with the other one, so if that helps, it's just you and Barry.
What's it worth to me? I can give you a gold for the information.
He goes, gave me more than that. Turns around and starts walking
How much
away.
did he give you? Casually just get in front of him.
He's like...
And who is he?
He goes, you're cheap.
How much did he give you?
He goes, what's it worth?
It's a very important investigation to me.
He goes, I don't care about any investigation.
But it's very important to me. I don't care if you care. It's important to me.
Man tries walking around you to leave.
Please, sir, I'm just looking for what kind of number you have in mind. Obviously, you have something in mind.
Turns around, looks at you and Barry, notices how well you're both dressed. He's like...
Iounia is only in common clothes.
So Barry's
How
dressed
much?
pretty nice, and he came along with you. He's like 10 gold.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's pretty steep.
Ridiculous.
I do not own that much gold. I can meet you at 5 gold.
Stops and he thinks about it for a few minutes and he goes,
It's a lot of hot dogs.
A lot of hot dogs.
this guy doesn't look like he's dressed very well at all. He goes, 5 gold and I tell you what I know. Puts out his hand.
I'll give you 2 gold before you tell me, but I won't give you the last 3 until you tell me. I'll show you I have all 5 getting in front of him.
I'm not going to argue for the money. No, he's like, no way.
I'm not going to risk you taking the money and running off.
And I'm not going to risk losing the money I already got. Never mind.
I will show you.
He walks away. He's done. You would have to physically stop him now. From a distance, NorthWatch, you and Lythandr see all this. Kayville, you notice who's with you, is very nervous, like wondering if you guys once again are trying to split the party. You can see while he's trying to look casual, you don't even need to roll an insight. His hand is on his sword, like ready in case like you guys bolt for it or one of them.
Well, just kind of waiting. I don't know what to do in this scenario.
What do you think they're talking about?
Grab his arm and offer him 4 up front and then 2 after. That way it's still not the full 5, but he's getting 6 instead of the 5 that we agreed on.
Yeah, he'll take the 4. Pockets it away. Looks around, makes sure that, he's far enough away from everybody else, but still within sight of the main counter in case you try something in the north. And the city watch, and he says, he goes, yeah, he goes, guy came by, he goes, young guy, kind of threatening, he was wearing a black cloak, he goes, had a dagger, but didn't threaten me with the dagger. Instead, he offered me 6 gold to do nothing but hold a spot all the way at the back. He goes, we pay, and he tells you, he goes, it's silver to get on if you can squish into where the cargo is. A lot of times the guys will let you in there and you can ride. It's basically like stowage, no amenities, not even seats, but you can cram in for silver to ride the lightning rail. Because the lightning rail costs multiple gold to ride. It's for the elite. It's not for the cheap. But the cheap people who want to get somewhere can squish in with cargo. And he goes, guy gave me 6 gold just to ride back with the cargo. Didn't make any sense, but hey, what do I care? 6 gold to hold a spot. He goes, with your 4, I got 10. He goes, get 1 more and I'll make my day. He goes, what you about to get? He goes, I told him, yeah, I'd hold a spot.
Hold a spot as in he would come and trade out with you so you're not actually traveling anywhere?
Like, no, just let him in front. He goes, I got no problem with that.
Huh. And that's at the dock, pointing at whichever dock I recall.
You remember exactly the second dock that you were at. He goes, yeah, he goes, train doesn't leave for another, and he looks over at the clock, checking the time. He goes, another 3 hours. He goes, so what's it hurt me to sit there and just sleep and wait? He goes, he wants to go sit there and relax and kick it back. He can do that. He goes, I'll be there.
Thank you very much. That's everything that you know?
He goes, puts out his hand for the other gold.
Gave him the other 2 gold.
Well, you gave him 4 up front, so.
Yeah, because I had agreed to 6 then instead.
Cool. Perfect. So he takes the other 2, he goes, bites them, makes sure that they're good, and says, yeah, he goes, other than the fact that, he goes, he's waiting over in the bar.
Is he waiting in the bar?
Where he said he was going to be, at least. didn't want to miss his spot back here. He goes, but hey, if you got enough money, he goes, it doesn't make any sense to me. If you've got enough money to sit in the bar and you got enough money to pay me gold just to hold your spot. He goes, but hey, guy wants to be foolish with his money, let him be foolish.
It's fair. And that train leaves in 3 hours, you said?
He goes, lightning rails are always on time.
Giving a nod. Thank you very much.
Yep. Takes the other 2 gold, pockets them away, and these ones you actually see him shoved down inside his pants. He must have secret pockets.
Naturally.
Secret pockets inside the pants, huh?
Like that.
Pocket perception. Pockets in your pockets.
Must be
Pockets of
worried
pockets.
about nefarious individuals who like to pick up other people's things. But none of those are in Sean. So.
Weird.
Strange. Alright, and I go back to my group, kind of smiley.
Barry's like, hey guys, you'll never guess what?
What, Barry? What?
And then he looks over at Iounia and he goes, you want to tell him? He goes, the guy's here.
I do want to tell them. I don't want to particularly scream it, though.
Barry's like,
Your enthusiasm
oh.
is incredibly entertaining, though, Barry.
Hmm.
So our friend is going to be on that train. Like, I don't move my hand out, just but like through me. The second dock that we checked, it leaves in 3 hours. This individual checked, was waiting in the bar to kill time and lay low, but he has somebody holding his spot in line, is what he has.
So he
So
is
we
at the
go
bar.
to the bar.
In theory, we can go to the bar, yes.
We should
That's the
try
train
and
that
cover
he's going on.
exits in case he tries to slip out when we walk in.
Giving a nod.
The girl who's still with you is like, he's in the bar? Oh my gosh. She goes, I gotta go tell, and then she goes off to go tell her person who's working with her over at the counter.
Also, like, on a more legit level, guys, I just paid him 6 gold for that information, so, like, if anybody
Wants to chip in a gold or 2 for that information that our group collectively needed to not die, for his crimes and stuff, that'd be great.
I need to refigure out how much money I actually have, and then I'll happily do that.
I agree, except like I'm a little short after I had to pay for all of us earlier to be on a train. And...
Yeah. No, NorthWatch is more than happy to give away all of his money because what's he gonna use it for?
Well, like, even Irish, like, she approached it, like, I get that, like, I did this without consulting you guys, and, like, technically if you don't want to, like, that's your own prerogative, but, like, if you have the money and are willing to, that's great, because this is group information here.
Oh yeah,
Cable's
no,
like,
NorthWatch would be
so
more
do we
than
just
happy.
want to go in there and grab him?
No,
He's obviously very direct about it.
I think we need to first cover the exits to the place, and then we need to go in and figure out which one it is. I'm sure there's going to be a handful of people in there that are either asleep because they're drunk or they have a hood up or something like that.
I could stay at the front entrance, and then if he sees you and starts to leave, just make a call like a northern-crested burrowbrow.
Yeah, what is that?
How's about we scream caca?
Caca?
Yes, but more like a bird. Yes.
Okay.
And
That's not what a
non-specific
bird sounds
generic
like,
kind of
but...
bird sound. I can make
It sounds like a
duck sound.
crow.
That's a great caca episode.
Vaguely.
Oh. Okay.
Fine. I will listen for your caca.
Is there a back entrance to the bar that we should be watching?
You have no idea.
I assume so. I can always walk around the bar to look for any other doors and wait there.
There's got to be like some sort of service entrance or space where they bring in like equipment and...
I'm more than fine waiting at whatever back entrance there may be.
Are you able to stop somebody from running away? Are you strong enough to do that?
He doesn't appear to be.
That's kind of what my general assessment was as well. I can watch the back door.
Cable.
And then Cable can go, you guys can try to find him and Cable can go to like make an arrest. He actually has the authority to do that.
You did seem to navigate yourself very well in the last tavern we were in, Lythandr.
Thank you. I suppose I can be the forerunner of the bar then.
Since Cable didn't seem to
Barry might be
approve
able to
of this kind of tactic before, Northwatch will look at him to see if he can discern any kind of emotion from him.
Cable's trying to watch because from everything you've seen, even when you busted in the door, you know, when you ransacked the Yek's room and whatnot, he's been very reserved every time you guys have gone above and beyond. He never said anything about Lythandr ripping anybody off. If he saw it, he never said anything about Barry casting magic in the inn above the Boromar. So he's actually let you guys do a lot. His biggest thing is, of course, worrying about you going off. He doesn't say anything about your plan. You also haven't included him in asking his advice, but
maybe Barry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe Barry can also do another show here. We can, if it entertains a handful of people, we can start by singling out the people who don't really want to look over and watch the show and stuff like that. Because I imagine he's going to really be trying to keep to himself. And Cable, I imagine you'd be very good at trying to suss out suspicious-looking individuals and stuff in there, maybe, and be there for the arrest and such.
Now, Iounia happens to have a past, having worked with individuals in the war, knowing how they were trained, knowing that City Watch are probably not as trained as military individuals, and knowing that at the lowest rank in the military, you're probably not as good as she's complimenting him right now. He's probably got skills.
He has the authority to make an arrest in theory.
He does.
And if the guy bolts for the door, then he's going to hit military on either end.
And he says, I also have the authority to deputize you. It was to help make an arrest. So I can do that. If we can find him, we can definitely do that.
I've never been deputized.
He goes, for the purpose of this alone, not to do anything illegal. I'm not authorizing you killing anybody.
Of course not.
To try and capture this individual. He goes, how are we going to identify him?
Well, we know generally what he looks like-ish. I also have ascertained that he is a hooded figure now. He has a cloak and has his hood up and stuff.
What color cloak? What color hood? He said black.
Okay, I was about to say, I'm pretty sure he mentioned it, but like, I wanted to say black, and I was like, I didn't write it down. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up.
Nope. That's why you can just say I repeat what the guy told me about him, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why you can also say I asked the guy for big descriptions and whatnot and memorize it so I can give it to others, you know. There's always a way to role play it out where you don't have to memorize all the details.
I give him the details that I was given about the Yek. And say that in general that narrows down the pool already. And again, I imagine if somebody comes in there with a big show and stuff like that, he'll also be among a crowd of people who is not interested in going over and watching the show. I imagine, especially if he knows that we're looking for him, potentially if anybody gave him a description of us, he would potentially be trying to avoid the funny-looking wizard that wants to jump up on a table and do who knows what.
That sounds accurate.
So Cable asks just to confirm, and Barry's like, my job then is to jump on a table and play instruments and get everybody looking at me.
Yes.
And Cable's like, this is the extent of your plan, to have everybody look at him, and then you're gonna ransack somebody in a black coat.
No, we're gonna start walking around, and we're gonna try and figure out who it is. I mean, at that point, we have to start talking to some individuals. At the very least, if they look up, then if we see their face, if their hair isn't the right color or something, potentially we just knock them off, dismiss the conversation, and go to the next person. If their hair is the right color, if they look like they're fitting it, and or they refuse to look over at whoever's talking to them, that's probably our guy.
Well, he does remind you. He goes, well, even the night that we were following you, he goes, we usually never walk together because it's too obvious.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why if I'm watching the back door, maybe I'll walk in first. I'll kind of make my way over towards whatever I can deem as a back entrance. Lythandr a little bit later can walk in, start talking to some people, chat up a waitress, as he seems to be good at. Barry can come in on his own a couple minutes later in some sort of larger, like, I'm just going to start an interaction, because NorthWatch doesn't have to actually walk in. If he's going to be guarding the front door, he doesn't need a separate entrance. He can stay at the front door out of sight. And
I will stand outside until people yell caca.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
truly, you are a saint.
Or until our suspect potentially tries to bolt, if he tries to bolt by you.
I don't think I qualify as a saint.
It's a, you look very saintliness to me.
Looks at his cloak.
Oh boy. Sound like a plan?
It does. How are you? As Lythandr goes out and starts trying to identify the other entrances so that Iounia can come in the back door and whatnot, it doesn't take long to realize some of the holes in the plan, which is there's one main way in and out, but Lythandr's good and discovers that there's back passages through the building and whatnot. This all takes time, while in the meantime, Kavil, who is a little leery again about you guys splitting up with that part of the plan, but, you know, is willing to chance it. Lythandr came back, Lythandr got Iounia, and in the meantime, Kavil, before
If
he lets
Lythandr pointed out the back entrances and stuff, I'm probably going to stand generally in the back of the building where, like, I can watch if anyone tries to quickly run out, I can, at the very least, hopefully chase after them then.
Yeah, it's not a separate building. Again, you're inside of a station network. So, for purposes of somebody watching, picture yourself like in a mall setting. What you're doing is you're going up the hidden doorways and whatnot for the back access to get in.
Okay.
Because just like mall stores, there's the main entrance and there's only one main entrance. There is a rear exit, emergency exits and stuff, but to get to those you have to go back ways. And Lythandr knew enough about this to search them out and figure it out. So Lythandr brings you to one of the back entrances and whatnot.
But they don't actually have doors then? They're just little, like, hallway passages to get out?
It does have a door, and unfortunately this door is locked.
That's fine. Okay. I don't need to go through the door. I just need to keep somebody else from leaving, in theory.
Okay. Great. So you and Lythandr are going to stay there, or is Lythandr coming back around the front?
How many back entrances are there from the bar?
Just the one that you found.
Just the one, okay.
Yeah, it appears to be like a loading entrance. Nice set of double doors. There's
So I
some
think the
old
idea
barrels
is
here.
Iounia guards the back entrance. Lythandr and Barry go inside with Kavil to try and locate the individual, and NorthWatch covers the front.
And Barry has actually already gone inside while you guys were
Cool.
waiting back and forth. Barry has
That's
gone
on
in
brand.
and ordered himself a drink and just started like doing the Barry thing and socializing and schmoozing, and you know, every now and then you're hearing Barry on his instrument as he starts to play, which sounds a little bit off. And it's that lute that he had going at the rat's paw. And he's got it going again.
Yes.
Lythandr will come in, and he's more than happy to start socializing and walking around, secretly looking for our lovely criminal.
Lovely criminal.
Lythandr is not.
Lythandr, and make a deception check.
Deception, you got it.
Well, yeah, make a deception roll. I have a deception check on you.
I'm gonna use one of my lucky points for today.
Okay.
And I rolled a 19 then.
Okay. You know, that's the first time I've ever seen where it's really a problem with rolling two dice at the same time. Because, if that second one's a roll.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that this time. From now on, if you ever say that with lucky again, you actually have to hit roll to find out what it is. You don't get to preview and be like, I like that. I'm using lucky.
I'm going to take that lucky roll.
That's a clever way to, like, sit on that point, though.
So we're going to solve that problem right now.
Okay.
But in the meantime, you act totally smooth. You have no idea who this bard is. You're looking around and whatnot, and you're so good, you can make your perception roll, and you are so smooth as you sit at the bar. You pretty much got everybody in sight. Let's take a look and find out if you know what it is. Wow. I was going to give you advantage, but it really kind of sucked anyway, so.
Yeah.
You know.
Sadly. And one of the things that you realize very quickly, Lythandr, is he's not here.
Not even like talking to the barkeep. She didn't see anybody in a hooded thing or with gray hair.
You start asking the barkeep, and the barkeep's like, gray hair? And points out there's a old elf with beautiful silver hair sitting over with a thing of wine on his own.
Rather young. Around my age.
He goes,
perhaps a little older.
The individual who you can't quite tell if it's serious or not because it's a Warforged, looks at you with his head after having pointed out the elf and says, I'm confused. How would I know what color hair it is with the hood up?
Sometimes hair sticks out.
It looks at you again and says, so if no hair is sticking out, how would I know?
I was asking in case hair was sticking out. What do they call you?
It says, Barkeep.
Barkeep. How many hooded figures have asked you for drinks as of the past hour?
Within the past hour?
Yes.
That would be while you guys were in the building, just so you know what you're asking as a character.
You've already been in the building an hour?
Yeah, I said when you were searching the 2 different platform areas and interviewing all the people and following the scents.
Okay.
It burned up over an hour.
In the past 2 hours, then.
He goes, 1. The gentleman in the back at the table around the corner.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Did you want a refill on your drink? Your drink is still full.
No, that's quite alright. I have full drink in hand.
Well, we always have extra, and we're always willing to serve.
Thank you very much, barkeep.
He goes back, picks up a glass that's already clean, and starts sticking in one of his big fingers and moving the rag around as he cleans the inside of the glass. Peeking around the corner, Lythandr can see exactly where Barkeep has described this individual being. And you can just see, from the high-walled seats, sticking out from around the side of it, the edge of a black cloak that you couldn't see before. The individual has purposely picked a back area with his back to the front, where unless you were intentionally walking back there, you would never know he was there. Barry, in the meantime, has the focus of much of the rest of the bar, since most of the individuals were just in here sleeping, and he really has their attention because he's making a bunch of noise while individuals were sleeping. So his reception is not going quite well as people are starting to get a little angry.
That's fine if he starts a bar fight. I'm gonna walk back out and motion for NorthWatch to come in.
Oh, is he trying to escape?
No, but he's like in the back, so he can't get easily up to the front door, so you can come in and help me wrestle him down.
I see. Okay.
Kaka. Kaka.
He follows like a
Dance.
chicken dance.
Chicken boy.
Doesn't understand this behavior, but
Cavill's just as confused as he stands there with you looking like, what are you doing? And what he sees like the arms going out and he's like, I see it here. And he reaches down and smells and he's like, ooh, yeah, I do smell bad, but he goes, obviously and he looks over at NorthWatch and he goes, I think he's trying to air out his armpits.
Oh, I see.
Humans do that before they meet women. He might have found somebody that he thinks is really cute.
No, I can smell it.
Lythandr's gonna bring them back into the bar to help pin down this guy.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to utilize.
Cable should stay outside though because Cable has all his guard colors.
I don't think we're going to get Cable to stay outside. But what I'm going to do, if I can, I want to make a stealth check so I can kind of have NorthWatch walk a little lower to the ground so that his head doesn't stick up quite so high over the average height of the patrons.
The stealthy Warforged.
So you're like trying to come in like bent over type thing?
Can Lythandr?
So, rolling a natural 20 on a stealth roll, NorthWatch pulls his cloak over and kind of covers most of his body with it and hunches over to try and kind of blend in with the crowd a little bit more.
Amen. You know, now it's really worth showing everybody just because it's like with what you rolled, a nat 20 and then an unnatural dirty 20, it's like, hey.
Indeed, I got a couple 20s going on here. What kind of 20 you want?
Yep,
Clean 20, dirty 20, which one?
Now, it is important to know, if you read my items, for any of our viewers, if something is impossible to do, I don't care if you roll a nat 20. It's impossible to do and you still fail.
Okay.
In this respect, absolutely. He's hunched over. If it's possible to be stealthy, he is absolutely stealth right now.
Right.
You know, otherwise
He's
you
not
get
trying to
bards that'll say, otherwise you'll get a bard like Barry saying, oh, I try to convince the king to give me his kingdom. I rolled a nat 20.
Right.
Yeah, it's
No.
impossible.
I get that. I'm just saying the intent is that he's not trying to be hidden. He's trying to be inconspicuous.
And you are so good at being inconspicuous.
Okay.
You've bent over so far, you really just look like a fat human or an orc who's embarrassed to be here or whatnot. So you go right in and whatnot. And where do you want to position yourself? Because Lythandr hasn't told you where the individual is. Looking out from underneath your cloak, you don't see him. And Kayville has walked in, and he's actually drawn more attention than you as a Warforged, because City Watch is now in here.
Lythandr, where did you say he was?
Lythandr will happily stealth with the Warforged and begin to direct him to where he is. Stealth.
Botches and guard. I just thought it'd be funny. The stealthy Warforged next to the thief that trips and falls on his face.
So Lythandr goes around the corner, pointing it out and whatnot, and you go over there. Around this time, you're starting to hear some boos and whatnot, and people telling Barry to shut up. But Barry's still strumming away on that really crappy goblin music that he was doing off key and whatnot in the Rat's Paw. Sorry, Rat's Paw. Tavern.
Yes.
Yeah, and it sounds just about that bad for those listening.
I thought.
That probably sounds quite a bit better than Barry. You know, and the loot just keeps going. They're like, shut up, we're trying to sleep in here. And around this time, the individual, you're both looking down the side edge of the bar to where this table is, and he looks out from where he's at to see why people are complaining about the horrible music and why this person won't stop. And he sees the two of you standing there.
Oops. This is awkward.
Time to make a roll. He looks and he just stares at you. What do you want to do?
Shift the cloak to look over towards Barry.
So you turn around because Barry's behind you, for the most part.
Oh, I thought he was over to our side.
Yeah.
But yeah. Just like, what is this awful playing? Gee.
NorthWatch turns his attention towards Barry. How about you, Lythandr?
Lythandr's gonna walk over to him and sit down across from him.
You actually take some, feet different, as NorthWatch is now mesmerized by the music,
Sure.
it. And Lythandr walks away from him and goes over and sits right down at the table. The individual looks at you, says, what do you want? Beat it.
I'm gonna lean forward and see if I can talk to him in Thieves' Cant a little. And be like, I've heard about you.
As you start to have a conversation where you emphasize certain words, using some hand motions and whatnot to emphasize which words matter, you emphasize that you've heard of him to try to see how he responds. Either he's pretending not to be a thief, or he actually has never learned Thieves' Cant, because he actually responds to your questions on the surface, talking about the lightning rail and the food here, and he goes, I haven't even eaten.
You haven't eaten? Why not?
He goes, it's the middle of the night. He goes, I told you, beat it, kid.
Can I sidle a little bit closer and get a look at this individual?
Absolutely. His back is now to you again, Yo. He's not looking out where you are at all. As you peek over,
Is this who we're...
You can see Lythandr sitting at the same table, but you can't see him.
Is this who we're... Can I try and pick up the scent if I get closer, maybe?
You can try here, or you can go up there and do your usual invade the bubble.
Okay.
Which would you like to do?
I'll try from here first. 13?
You absolutely know the scent of him is in here. And it seems to be very close.
I will start to get closer.
Warforged just comes right up behind.
Yeah, Lythandr's gonna be sort of trying to distract the guy more towards him. That way, NorthWatch can hopefully reach just fine.
Go ahead and make a stealth roll as you approach. I know you're not trying to be stealthy, but you're
trying to be quiet.
Close.
14.
Can he get out? I don't know what advantage would be for you, but can... Oh, no, never mind.
Advantage would have given me a 14 or a 6, so...
Yeah, you know.
So the Warforged comes up, the floorboard's creaking a little bit. Or, I'm sorry, no, it's marble floors. You're good. So just the clack, clack, clack of his feet on the stuff as he comes up. But you definitely sense that that's him in there. And what you overhear is them arguing about the fact that Yak wants Lythandr out. He says, I'm not telling you again. Get the hell out of my booth.
Okay. I will grab him.
And literally from around the side, I'm going to give you, this is a surprise round. He was not expecting this. Make an attack roll on him. It'll be a grapple since you said you're grabbing him.
Can I finesse a grapple, or do I need to use strength for that?
It's athletics, yeah.
Athletics, okay. I can do athletics. Ooh, a 17.
Nice. Nice. The arm shoots around the side, and he's so surprised. I was going to give him disadvantage, but I don't need to roll disadvantage because he already got a low one. So surprised, all of a sudden the arm is right around his neck. And that's when we're all going to roll initiative now. And I'm going to make sure that our initiative thing is set up.
All right. Let's see here.
Yep, it's nice and empty, so you guys should be able to roll in on that.
I don't have a token out, so I can't put myself in the turn order. I'll go ahead and just do that stealthily real quick.
Here we go. Let me grab a token for you. NorthWatch. Boom. NorthWatch now has a token. Lythandr has a token.
There we go.
Does Iounia have a token out there? Iounia. There you go. There's Ionia's token.
Oh, wow.
Hi there.
My token.
Well, that's what was in there, so.
No, yeah, I can't click on my token to.
That was the one that for the character she played in the prologue.
Yeah, I'm also waiting on art for.
Yeah, we're getting art pretty soon. We might have it next week. Who knows?
Yeah.
I likewise cannot click on my token in order to do an initiative roll.
Yep. Did you get your character in here yet?
That's what I'm using.
Okay, 1 second. Let me go down and check.
It's not done right. I had to jerry-rig some things with a custom nonsense.
It's alright, I'm just trying to find the character to pull it up. And it's not showing up on my log. Why is it not?
We appreciate as you bear with us.
This was brought to you by T.
Those are the only characters that are showing up on my end, so.
You could also just like manually enter her.
I've rolled initiative several times, continuing to try and get it on the thing, so I should probably just take the first one.
But also the turn order. There we go. Yep. Okay.
How do I?
Oh, Legend has to do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to do it.
You right-click on the token, and then select Add Turn. You have to have the cursor option selected.
Yeah, I think Roll20 is fighting me a bit. It's not letting me click on any tokens, and I don't know why.
You can always use paper.
That's it. You know what? We're all good. We're all good.
All right.
What do we got? Top of the round. I'm just going to ask who's next. We're doing this old-fashioned. You guys know your numbers better than me. Since he was so surprised, he's going to be bottom of the round. So, top of the round. You reach around the corner. You've got him. Top would be Iounia, who's at the back door waiting for somebody to escape.
No, the 18 has top of the round.
No, I think he's counting that as my turn.
Oh.
I thought he had surprise.
No. That was a surprise, so that's not.
Oh, so I act after I get the surprise round.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, what surprise does? Again, there is no surprise round. Surprise is basically, if you want to think of it like a condition. If you're surprised, you lose your turn.
Right.
Everybody else was surprised. Nobody thought you were doing this. Ionia's in the back, so she's obviously surprised and out of it. Cavel's out of it. You know, Lythandr. You know, I'll give Lythandr. Lythandr can stay in the round. So, Lythandr, you're up.
Flash his drink in the guy's face to help give him disadvantage.
Okay. So the next thing you know, you took his drink, threw it in his face.
I took my own drink. It was full.
Oh, I forgot you had a drink. Very nice. Well done. So you threw your drink into his face, giving him advantage, which, and as I said, he was surprised, so he gets no attack this turn, putting it top of the round, which is NorthWatch.
Okay. I broke out everyone's favorite rules to break out in any role-playing system, the grappling rules.
Just opposed.
I will go ahead and try to move. What is around me currently?
The bar is nearby, otherwise you're standing in an alleyway between the bar itself, some stools, and this row of seats that he is in, which are more like, what do they call the fixed seats in a restaurant? Booths.
Right, booths. So was he at a booth?
Yes, he was in a booth.
I'm going to go ahead and, while grappling him, just kind of push him down into the booth and try to hold him down. Pin him, essentially.
Okay.
And at the same time, NorthWatch is going to shout towards the back door, "Ka-ka!"
So you're going to try and push over and shove him down to the prone position. Okay. Make an athletics roll to do that.
Oh, don't feel me down. Ooh, dirty 20.
Nice. Next thing you know, the Warforged is on top of him, shoving him down, and as you do it, you can feel his body start to change. As he starts busting out and the muscles start changing and his face elongates, and only you can see it because now he's shoved down into this cloth seat beneath the table outside of Lythandr's view. In the meantime, your caw-caw, which was really loud, was loud enough to interrupt Barry and the others, and Cavill comes trucking down, getting into this as well. And I'll give you a perception roll, see if you can hear it out there, Iounia, between the booing, between the loot, and between the caw-caw.
It was really loud. Oh no!
Yep.
I'm just gonna sit there like, oh, the music stopped. Boo! Get a new performer!
Yeah. She's out there booing as well. She's like, oh God, Barry, you suck. You really gotta learn to do this. Knowing that Barry can't hear her.
Over the barkeep at some point, like, you guys need better entertainment in this joint, honestly.
Goodness.
Alright, so who's next on the hit list? I gotta write this down because as you guys roll, it's gonna go off screen. So I got 18 for
NorthWatch is 18, Iounia is 13, and Lythandr is 6.
Oh, jeez. There you go.
Oh, cute.
Barry's gonna come in at
Yes,
5.
just some regular common looking kind of clothes.
And then we've got
That's nice.
Yuck. And we've got Cable. Okay. The chaos now stops as you're pushing on top of him. You yell out this caca, which draws other people from the front of the bar to start coming back and see what the heck this crazy Warforged is doing. Maybe it's broken, who knows? And they start crowding down this little alleyway trying to get by one another. And Cable's telling them to stand back, and all of a sudden he's doing more of crowd control. Barry, continues to be Barry, and just like back at the Rat's Paw, continues to play anyway, and now starts making his magic glue move in front of people, trying to get them to stop coming down there, leaving Lythandr and NorthWatch sadly on their own as Iounia sits outside the door. No help comes when NorthWatch yells, "Caca," other than the crowd, which is held back.
Okay. Understood.
Lythandr, what are you doing?
I'm gonna like kind of go underneath the table to kind of prevent escape routes in case he starts like getting loose from NorthWatch's grip. Since NorthWatch is above him, I'm going under the table to help hold him down.
All of a sudden, Lythandr slips under the table, goes over there, make a grapple check with advantage as you try to grab onto him too.
So it's athletics.
Athletics, thank you.
Oh, natural 20.
Oh my gosh! You guys were complaining about bad rolls earlier, and suddenly we're seeing like 20.
It was just me that was complaining about super bad rolls.
That's true.
Lythandr gets under the table, arm locks this guy around the neck as Barry's got him pushed down, and suddenly this guy's like held from around the neck, and his hand, which had been grabbing for a dagger, now has the dagger in it and stabs upwards right into NorthWatch.
Okay.
Now let's see. Yeah, because that's it. Barry's still playing. Yek gets his attack. What's your age? Oh, never mind. He's like fumbling around trying to stab at you, and it's just glancing off the metal as he stabs at you, not finding any purchase to get in and get a proper strike on you. And in his restricted straight, he can't grab his other weapon to do a double attack the way he normally would.
Nice.
Cable, by this time, has commanded everybody to step back, comes down, and says, "That's it, you're under arrest." And he sees you guys, like, actually he's wondering where the heck Lythandr is because he can't see him, and he's like, "You, Warforged," because he can't remember your name off the top of his head, NorthWatch. He's
That's
like,
fine.
"Warforged." And you can see the legs sticking out. He goes, and he's trying to figure out, should I say let him up? But he realizes I'm talking to a Warforged and that might get misdone. He's like, hold him and bring him to me. Unfortunately, as you know, your other partner has him around the head, which means that's going to be a problem. So that'll end Cable's turn. NorthWatch, you're up. How do you respond?
He will shout, "He's shifting. We must subdue him. Lythandr, watch out for the teeth."
Understood.
Well, because if you're paying attention to the head that you're grabbing, it's turning into a wolf head. So, okay, I'm gonna, while holding him down, try to smack him in the face and knock him out.
You've got him restrained? Well, no, you don't have him restrained. You technically have him grappled right now.
I don't know if restraining is a thing in 5th edition.
It is.
Oh, it is? How do I do that?
First of all, normally you do it with a feat. Otherwise, you've got to have something special to turn this prone into a restrained. And when you restrain him, you won't be able to do any attacks. You physically use your body to restrain the other person.
I have rope.
Well, that's it. What we need to do is usually knock him out and then tie him up.
All right,
otherwise,
so I'm
it's
going to
just
do
a
the
continued...
I'm going to do the knockout thing then.
Yeah, technically, while you have somebody, you are allowed to move at half your speed. So you can literally stand up holding him and move him out to where Cavil could also help you in 5th edition to tie him up and whatnot. This is where the help actions come in. Unfortunately, Lythandr also has him grappled, which means Lythandr's got the head, and you'd be fighting against her to try to move him.
Right, so the idea is to just knock it out, because he recognizes it's shifting, it's more dangerous right now, so it's probably best to knock him out first anyway. So.
And the beauty is, for those that are watching and don't understand, 5e actually takes that into account, because technically, you only have to use one hand to grapple, because all grapple does is stop movement, which leaves your other hand free to punch, to do something, to stab, anything like that.
Now, what is a normal unarmed attack?
1 point of damage. And did you pick Juggernaut for your Warforged?
No, he's a skirmisher.
Okay, yeah. So then you have no extra damage. It's just 1 plus your strength modifier.
That's fine. So here's my attack
You are
roll.
always considered proficient.
So I have a 15. Strength save would be the same as an unarmed attack in this case because it's my strength plus my proficiency. So 15 to hit him.
Okay, that hits. It's
Okay,
very
that's-
low DC because he's pinned.
3 strength damage. So he's just holding him down and just punching him in the face while Lythandr keeps his neck up, restrained.
You start punching him in the face even as he starts to shift. And you see like the teeth starting to get longer, the face starting to take on some of those animalistic growls, and the lips peel back showing that almost dog-like grin. Lythandr, what are you up to?
Lythandr, you said he has a dagger, right?
He does. You've seen him pull it out. He's down there trying to stab at the Warforged.
Lythandr's gonna try and take that dagger from him.
You would have to release your grapple from the position you're at, as I imagine.
Okay.
You could try and kick
I'm
it
only
out.
holding his head, right?
Yeah, right now you've got him around. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna then let go and go for his dagger since
Yeah, the way I see it is
what's his name
NorthWatch.
wants him to be brought over anyway.
Yeah.
Take it.
NorthWatch
you have
has his
advantage
hand
on the
down,
roll
pushed.
because he can't see you to prevent. He doesn't know what you're trying to do. So you go ahead and go first before he gets his attack. See if you can't disarm him, and it'll be an opposed athletics check.
Okay.
You
Can
can
I
do
have
it.
advantage?
In fact, he's only going to get to use strength, but if you can use your athletics, I don't know if you have any bonuses on that.
Oh no.
Wow. Yeah, no. I mean, maybe he'll roll in that one. He did not. So, yeah, no, you're like trying to get this. Now you're on his arm, and you're hanging on as you get banged against the table and whatnot, and the table rises up and falls back down as hit with his strength. He's now like bashing at you, and now you realize why Cable was talking about an ambush, because this guy, as he's shifting, he's getting stronger by the second, which is everything that NorthWatch has experienced before when he used to have to track and ambush shifters. Shifters on their own, if you don't get the upper hand immediately, and you did by grappling him around the neck, but you weren't going for a kill. In this case, you were going for a hold and whatnot.
Yeah.
Cavil, who's already asked you to get up, tries scrambling on top of the table to get over there. He gets up, uses half of his movement, and actually now kicks straight down. He'll get advantage on the roll too to try and kick him in the face. Oh wow, never mind. Nat 20, that sucker.
Oh really?
Kicks down, yeah. Oh, but bad on damage. But you know he gets 2 rolls, so and bad twice. You got a 1 and a 2 on damage. So he's like kicking this guy in the face, and Yak feels almost unaffected by it. And Yak, now it's his turn, uses his strength, and he just shoves back against you, trying to break loose of your grapple and shove you back.
Okay.
Opposed roll.
19. I got a good one.
Dude, he shoves you up, but you never break loose. You continue to have him. You literally, he shoves
Dead
you
weight on
back.
top of him.
Yeah.
The way I see it, like he shoves and Northwatch takes his left hand and puts it on a. What's up?
Somehow, oh, my computer timed out. 1 second. I gotta.
Uh-oh.
It's 2 hours.
Uh-oh, we got all goofy.
It did, because we lost everything else. We're in the last few minutes. Therefore, with the last few minutes of horrible video, because it'll take me that long to grab my other stuff, it takes a little bit of Cable working in here too. You guys end up getting him tied up, eventually knocking him unconscious, and then watch. Cable uses the manacles that he has brought with him to latch onto him while he's still unconscious. In the meantime, Iounia, who's still sitting outside waiting for the caca that never seems to have come, finally hears the cheering of other people as they see the watch and NorthWatch drag out this unconscious body. And quickly the story that was going around since...
Oh, here I thought they were cheering because Barry stopped playing.
You know, and Lythandr, do you say that?
No.
Yeah, give us a career.
So you quickly discover that, you know, there's cheering going on, in part because the woman that, you know, had said, oh, they're going to capture a criminal and a killer because, you know, the beans were spilled, has come in and brought her own individual with her and let others know. In the meantime, Barry has stopped playing for the moment and is now talking up his friends who've done all this. And you finally caught this individual, Yak. And Cable describes how we'll put him in jail, and I will make sure that the captain of the guard gets you off the hook. You'll just have to identify in court that this is who it was, and we can push that through as early as tomorrow. We'll put him in the lockup for tonight. He wants to know where you're going to be staying at in the meantime.
Just probably a local inn.
Barry knows best. Locally. Sorry, Lythandr knows best.
We both know best.
Indeed.
We're finally going to the after party, you guys.
Oh my gosh,
right,
this
the
is
fifth party.
The after party?
And this becomes
As I walk up.
the after party because Cavil, who walks over to Barkeep, pulls out a small pouch of his money that he keeps on him. It's not a lot, but he goes, buy them whatever drinks they want and whatnot.
So that's 3 drinks.
Woo!
No, he leaves the pouch of money there. So it's,
he leaves the pouch of money.
So he's going to let you guys, you can have whatever drinks you want on him. The only thing he needs to know is where to reach out to you.
Right.
So that you can testify against
Could
this
always
murderer.
go back to the Rat's Paw. Was that just a bar? Or was that?
It was just a bar.
Oh, was that also just a bar?
Because
and
while
trust
Cavil
me,
saw the guy jump, it was you guys who saw this individual over them and him with the weapon. Cable hasn't seen that part, so they need you to testify.
Lythandr's more than happy to list a local inn that he knows of.
There you go. Cable knows where that inn is, accepts it, thanks you, and he'll be in contact on the morrow. Now, of course, you guys, we got to figure out how to pay for a room, and you could snatch up the bag of money that Cable just put on the counter. You know, just saying, because I know Lythandr's always thinking that stuff.
He
And
is.
that's what we'll end it for tonight. We'll start off next week, figuring out where the inn is, catching up from there, and whatnot. I want to thank you all for having a fantastic night. I know our cameras are off and whatnot. I apologize about our other computer, which was not plugged in, timing out and setting all the cameras off. We'll have that fixed for next week. Normally it's really good, and hopefully we'll see Barry next week. In the meantime, I won't belabor it. Thank you very much, all. It has been a fantastic night. I want to thank you for being here with us, and we hope to see you all next week, where we'll continue making some amazing adventures and hopefully even better memories as we gather together at Friends around the table. Good night, all.
Thank you so much.
Bye.